Hello Transformers, Autobots, and Decepticons. Today's a very interesting video, and it comes off of the just recently Transformers Reactivate being canceled by Splash Damage Studios. Now, seeing this brand new article that TFW 2005 just recently released, and it also goes off of Hasbro's report via Gamatsu and Polygon, goes to show that a brand new IP called Tent Pole under Space Marine 2 Saber Interactive, and I'm sorry for the pause there, but it's just crazy to the idea that Hasbro would partner with this company to develop a brand new Transformers video game. Now, it didn't say that it's a Transformers video game. However, this comes off of the height of the Splash Damage game Transformers Reactivate being canceled. And did Hasbro end up basically canceling the game way back when, a long time ago, and ever since then they've been trying to find a brand new studio to take on the next Transformers video game. Truly, I do feel that Transformers fans are holding on way too tightly to the past games by High Moon Studios. I truly think those games should be left to the dust, and those games should be moved forward or being written down as one of the greatest Transformers games in history. We can't write that down unless there are more Transformers video games. And that is simply where I'm trying to go with this, is the fact that we do not have a AAA Transformers video game. We've had maybe a AA game or A game with the High Moon Studios games, but we have not had anything as massive as a AAA Transformers video game. And that's what Transformers Reactivate was going to be, but it ended up getting canceled because the higher-ups kept messing with the developers themselves, and they never truly gave them the creative vision to be able to complete and launch Transformers Reactivate. There were so many story tropes and things that I can't fully say right now because I have been asked to not fully share all this stuff, but mainly the artwork, but also just the story tropes of things that were going to be in Transformers Reactivate. We were going to see the Ark. We were going to go back to Cybertron. We were going to be able to see so many different things that I would love to be able to just share with you guys about Transformers Reactivate. But at the same time, there's so many things about Transformers Reactivate that could have been absolutely stunning for all of us to see. Recently, we saw Metroplex, and that I didn't even know about until that developer showed the Nevada desert that he was building for Transformers Reactivate. I would love for Hasbro to find a company that would create an MMO for Transformers. We saw Transformers Universe back in the day, but that game ended up shifting genres from MMO to, I think it was a MOBA, but it was basically had these RPG elements with PvE and PvP all integrated into the game, but it was an online web game and it ended up getting canceled anyway. Then we have Transformers Reactivate, the next closest thing to a MMO. But we do not have character customization, and that is one of the single greatest things that Transformers fans, gaming fans, are asking for, is to be able to customize their own very own Transformers character. They want to envision their own selves in this character that they create in a Transformers video game. You look at our Discord for the Re-Energized Community Discord, one of the biggest gaming Discords for Transformers in the world. And there are so many people constantly sharing their Transformers Fall of Cybertron custom create a character basically in a text channel. And people love sharing their designs, but we do not get that in a modern day Transformers video game. Now, let's take a look at Space Marine 2. You could do a little bit of character customization in that game, and that was fun. But here's the downfall potentially, is that if Hasbro is only partnering with them because they made a very good Space Marine 2 game that could be like a G.I. Joe game, that would suck. But as far as I am aware, the G.I. Joe game was already in development by some studio, and whether that was Wizards of the Coast or whoever it was, at Hasbro under closed doors. Now, I think there's already leaked information out there somewhere, but at the same time, I truly do think that Space Marine 2, Saber Interactive, I feel like they're going to develop the the next AAA Transformers video game. Why? Because if you look at it very closely, look at that leaked UE5 gameplay, or even look at the Transformers Rise gameplay by Certain Affinity, which is probably a lot better to look at than anything else. But that footage, you just look at it and you see how that could be translated into Space Marine 2 and how close those gameplays are in some way, shape, or form. Despite the extra killing tin bits of Space Marine 2, that would be very cool for a Decepticon character to be able to do with Space Marine 2, but in a Transformers video game. But also at the same sense, there's a lot of similar gameplay elements of Space Marine 2 and Transformers Reactivate / Transformers Rise. And there's so many key elements there that I could see happening. And that's why I think maybe Hasbro decided, hey, let's take a look at Saber Interactive and ask them if they would be willing to take on the Transformers IP and our assets from Transformers Reactivate. Here's where I think this could play out is in the future, if there was a Transformers MMO, or even somewhat like a genre that is very similar to a Transformers MMO, I could see the next Transformers video game have character customization right off the bat when you first open up the game and you log in. Then, once you create your character, you are your own person. It's just like Final Fantasy XIV or any other game that's an MMO where you create your own character and everybody refers to you as like recruit or military personnel or something, or the warrior of light or the warrior of darkness or whatever it may be, just to refer to you as your character because you have your own custom name like RoboGamer1 HD as you log in, and you have your own custom character. You log into your game and they refer to you whenever you're talking to you in a cutscene as recruit or scout or something like that. If you talk to Optimus Prime, he may refer to you that way or in some way, shape, or form. And then as you go on into your mission, you jump into this massive open world that you can drive into. And that's where I think Splash Damage was going with their own video game with Transformers Reactivate, is being able to just drive out into this open world and be able to go on these side quests and missions. And I think that would be amazing if Saber Interactive took on this like almost like an MMO sense, very similar to Destiny, I guess, in a sense, Warframe, or any other games that you want to draw from. Like, I think they really should draw from like these games like Final Fantasy XIV, especially if they go the MMO side of things, and all these RPG elements that could definitely play into Transformers, whatever the next Transformers AAA video game is going to be called. So Tentpool is apparently the brand new IP, or at least the code name for this next video game. And whatever it may be, whatever it is, I don't know. They have these very interesting ways of creating a code name for video games nowadays. And you try to think of like, well, what does it mean? What does it mean? Fortress was the previous one, and Green Pastures was the previous, even before that, for the Transformers video game Reactivate / Rise lineup. But now that, since that game is canceled, are they going to start from the ground up, not using any of the assets from Transformers Reactivate? I think it would be pretty sad to not use those assets. I feel like if they are going to do anything, make it your own. Like, maybe change the assets slightly, but like upgrade their assets. Like, make all of the characters like Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, and all these other characters, make them NPCs throughout the world, or characters that fight alongside you when you're on missions. And if you're not doing co-op missions, then have players join in and with their custom character and go on those missions alongside you. But have those NPC characters like Bumblebee, Starscream, Optimus Prime, etc. on comms with you all throughout. I feel like it's going to be very sad if all of those assets end up just being thrown to the dust. But at the same time, I think it would be pretty amazing if we got to see a very own Space Marine 2 Transformers-like video game. I think that would be truly awesome. But at the same time, I do hope that we do get to see open world traversal. And I think that should be a pinnacle point for the next Transformers video game. Being able to just roam around a big, massive open world, whether you're in the desert, being able to drive up and into the Ark, or being able to roam around Cybertron in Unreal Engine 5 or whatever engine it may be under. And just seeing these amazing scenic views and just being able to like take photos of your character while you're driving out into the sunset, or being able to take on missions alongside your friends in game and then go on raids like a Metroplex raid, or going on a Triptychon raid, or something like that, to be able to get weapons and players that can truly challenge themselves in a Transformers video game and make it like Destiny, make it like Warframe, make it like Final Fantasy XIV raiding, etc., etc., etc. I am so very excited for if Saber Interactive is making the next Transformers video game. But one of the greatest issues, I think, was the communication with fans. And okay, so maybe you announce your game a little bit too early. I think that would suck. But at the same time, we saw that with Splash Damage, and there was absolutely zero communication with their fandom. And that's what sucked. You didn't get to see any interviews. You didn't get to see any interaction with your content creators. You didn't get to see any interaction with your fans over social media, and it sucked. It truly did. And that was the saddest part about the development cycle for Transformers Reactivate, is absolutely zero communication whatsoever, even with your press, which was the saddest part of all. For me personally, even though I became part of the press for the previous game, it sucks that we didn't get to see anything more. We didn't get to partake in any gameplay sessions or builds or betas or alpha tests whatsoever. Take notes from your Transformers fans, but then take constructive criticism from those feedbacks, because it may not line up with the vision of the game that you are creating as a developer. So personally, for me, as a Transformers gaming fan, and one that has been around for a very, very long time, people want PvP. That's a must. If Saber Interactive or whoever is making the next Transformers video game, make sure there's PvP in the game, because fans want that. 2, make some really good PvE elements, and focus on the storyline and PvE elements first and foremost. PvP is an afterthought. Especially it depends on how your game plays out at the same time. You could go like other developers, like Destiny as an example. They didn't bring PvP into the game right at the forefront when it first launched. It came later down the road, or you had to unlock it down the road. I think that's something that can be an afterthought, and it doesn't have to be focused on right away. But I know fans will definitely want to ask for some small PvP game modes to be able to fight against some other players down the road and challenge themselves truly with whatever build of their character it may be. And I think that would be pretty cool. I think that's a great idea for down the road, and I think that a lot of Transformers fans would be happy. But first and foremost is being able to log in with that custom Transformers character, jump into the storyline right away after you create your custom character, and then of course open them up to a vast and expansive traversing world that you can roam in. I think that's where Transformers fans should be able to do, because you can fly as a jet, you can fly as a helicopter, you can drive around as whatever character you may be. But I think a lot of the assets that were created in Transformers Rise and Transformers Reactivate, I think those two games from both Certain Affinity and Splash Damage, I think those assets should continue in some way, shape, or form, or at least be very similar to whoever creates the next big Transformers video game. This is kind of like a rant, kind of like a suggestion to the next developers, but also at the same time, I have so many great ideas in my mind of what the next Transformers video game could look like. But at the same time, developers also have their own ideas. But at the same time, I hope that the next Transformers company that makes the video game, they don't let us down. I don't want to see another cancellation personally, because as we get older and older as fans, people are going to start to leave the fandom. I mean, if they haven't already after seeing the most recent cancellation of Transformers Reactivate, it's kind of sad, to be perfectly honest. And a lot of fans are feeling very disconnected from the Transformers franchise ever since that cancellation. And I feel like a lot of people are even moving away potentially, or even like saying, great, another letdown, time to move on kind of thing. So I feel like as a Transformers gaming fan that we should be excited, we should be hyped, we should be looking forward to whatever happens next for the next Transformers video game. But until then, the future is grim. And until we see another announcement by another studio or even some sort of indication that another Transformers video game is being made, we fans are left hopeless and waiting until the next Transformers video game is announced. Until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Share your thoughts with Hasbro and whoever is the next Transformers video game company. I do hope it is a AAA game, and I am very excited to see and even try it for myself. So whoever is the next developer, hit me up. I would love to be able to alpha test or beta test or even try out whatever next Transformers video game is in the works. Until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. This is RoboGamer1HD signing off. See you all on the battlefield.